So what if an entire continent just decided to, well, completely overhaul its own health system? Not just tweak it, but totally rebuild it from the inside out. That's pretty much exactly what's happening in Africa right now, and it is a massive deal.
It all really boils down to this one number, 60%. And, this isn't just some random statistic. It's a statement. This is the new goal for the share of medicines, vaccines, and all kinds of health products that Africa plans to make for itself. A huge, huge step towards self-sufficiency.
And they've set a deadline, 2040. Yep, a really ambitious but clear timeline. The idea is to go from relying on imports to having a powerful local manufacturing industry in less than 2 decades.
So, you might be asking, what's the big idea behind all this? Well, it all comes down to one really powerful concept.
And that concept is health sovereignty. You're going to hear this term a lot. It was laid out in a big presidential declaration and is basically a strategic pillar for the entire continent. It means taking control, making sure you have your own supply of critical health products, and never again being at the mercy of shaky global supply chains.
Okay, so a big vision is one thing, but how do you actually make it happen, right? Well, there's a real plan, a detailed playbook for how to turn this whole ambition into a reality. The strategy really sits on 4 main pillars. First up, they're going to pool all their buying power together. That's aggregate demand. Second, they'll create guaranteed customers for local companies to shape the market. Third, make sure Made in Africa means top quality everywhere. That's harmonize standards. And finally, you guessed it, boost innovation by investing in skills and new tech.
Now, the engine that's going to drive those first 2 steps is something called the African Pooled Procurement Mechanism, or APPM. And honestly, this is a total game changer. Just think of it as a massive continent-wide promise to buy African. By guaranteeing these huge long-term orders, it gives local manufacturers the security they need to actually invest, grow, and really start to compete.
And to handle that third pillar, making sure everything is high quality, well, that part is non-negotiable. The Africa CDC is stepping up to lead the charge here. They're building a single platform to make sure that a vaccine made in one African country meets the exact same high standards for every other African country.
Of course, a revolution on this scale, it needs some serious cash. So the big question is, where is all the money going to come from?
A big part of the answer is a new strategy called the New African Financial Architecture, or NAFA for short. And as you can see from this quote, this isn't just about shuffling funds around. It's a complete rethink of how the continent pays for its own future.
I mean, just look at the difference here. The old way was all over the place. Fragmented systems, super reliant on outside funding, which kind of weakened their collective power. The NAFA way is all about coordination, about mobilizing Africa's own capital and building real financial independence.
And these aren't just buzzwords, they're taking concrete steps. A special fund is being set up just for that procurement mechanism we talked about. The top banks are meeting with the Africa CDC to get everyone on the same page. And there's a huge push to crack down on illicit money leaving the continent, which will keep more of Africa's wealth right there, in Africa.
Now, look, it's easy to hear about these huge plans and be a little skeptical. The biggest challenge, as always, is turning these amazing declarations into actual results on the ground.
And that's the absolute critical question, isn't it? It's something that leaders across the continent are taking really, really seriously.
This quote here from the Institute of Foreign Affairs just says it all. The success of this entire thing comes down to execution. Honestly, the credibility of the African Union itself is kind of on the line. It's no longer about talk. It's all about delivery.
So, to make sure things actually get done, there's a clear roadmap. After the big declaration, there's a special summit happening in Nairobi in 2026 to lock in all these commitments. The whole timeline is designed to keep the pressure on and maintain momentum all the way to that 2040 goal.
And this is important because the impact of this plan, it goes so far beyond just a pharmacy or a clinic. This is really about transforming the entire continent.
Think of this health initiative as a catalyst for everything else. It gives a massive boost to the African continental free trade area by creating these new regional supply chains. It puts the industrialization goals of Agenda 2063 on the fast track. And, maybe most importantly, it builds infrastructure and creates good jobs for Africa's huge and growing youth population.
When you see all the continent's leaders lined up like this, you really get a sense of the political will behind this. This isn't some small project buried in a government department. No, this is a top-level presidential priority. It's a unified vision for a more self-reliant and prosperous Africa.
So, you've got the plan,
The money is being lined up, and the political will is definitely there, which really leaves us with one last, pretty exciting question. After centuries of reliance on others, is Africa finally on the verge of declaring its health independence? The next few years are going to be fascinating to watch.